Apple ignited the personal computer revolution in the 1970s with the Apple II, and reinvented the personal computer in the 1980s with the Macintosh. From those early days in a humble garage to becoming one of the most influential companies on the planet, Apple's journey has been marked by relentless innovation and a passion for simplicity. Apple Computer Company was established on April 1, 1976, by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne as a partnership. The company's first creation, the Apple I, was entirely designed and hand-built by Wozniak. Jobs financed its development by selling his Volkswagen bus, while Wozniak sold his HP 65 calculator, though neither received the full asking price, jointly earning $1,300. Wozniak unveiled the first Apple I prototype at the Homebrew Computer Club in July 1976, initially marketed as a motherboard equipped with CPU, RAM, and basic textual video chips. The Apple I was conceived as a foundational kit rather than a fully integrated personal computer. It was priced at $666.66 shortly after its introduction. Wozniak later mentioned that the numerical coincidence with 666 was unintentional, choosing the price due to his fondness for repeating digits. Apple Computer Incorporated was formally established on January 3, 1977, after co-founder Wayne relinquished his shares to Jobs and Wozniak for a nominal sum of $800. Just 12 days following the company's inception, seasoned entrepreneur Mike Markula contributed crucial business acumen and $250,000 in funding during Apple's incorporation phase. Over the initial 5 years, the company experienced rapid revenue escalation, with sales doubling approximately every 4 months. By September 1980, annual revenue soared from $775,000 to $118 million, marking an impressive average annual growth rate of 533% during that period. Designed by Wozniak, the Apple II debuted on April 16, 1977, during the first West Coast Computer Fair, distinguishing itself from competitors like the TRS-80 and Commodore PT. It featured character cell-based color graphics and an accessible architecture. Initially employing standard audio cassette tapes for storage, this method was later supplanted in 1978 by the introduction of the 5.25-inch floppy disk drive and its accompanying Disk II interface. The Apple II became the designated desktop platform for the initial groundbreaking business application, VisiCalc, a spreadsheet software launched in 1979. VisiCalc significantly expanded the business appeal of the Apple II and provided home users with a compelling reason to adopt it due to its office compatibility. Despite this, the Apple II remained a strong contender in the market, consistently providing a unique and valuable option alongside competing home computers from Atari, Commodore, and Tandy. On December 12, 1980, Apple, with the ticker symbol APL, made its initial public offering by selling 4.6 million shares at $22 each. This IPO raised over $100 million, marking the largest capital generation since Ford Motor Company's IPO in 1956. By day's end, the stock price had risen to $29 per share, resulting in a market capitalization of $1.778 billion and the creation of 300 millionaires, including Apple's founders, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. In December 1979, Steve Jobs and Apple staff, including Jeff Raskin, visited Xerox PARC, where they saw the Xerox Alto, which showcased a graphical user interface. Following this visit, Apple secured rights to PARC's technology, including an option to purchase shares at a favorable rate. This experience inspired Jobs to integrate a GUI into Apple's products, beginning with the Apple Lisa. Although the Lisa was a groundbreaking GUI computer designed for the mass market, its high cost and limited software options presented challenges. Despite these hurdles, it paved the way for future innovations and contributed to Apple's growth in the technology space. Jobs, displeased after being removed from the Lisa team, assumed leadership of Apple's Macintosh division, originally conceived by Wozniak and Raskin as an affordable computer with a text-based interface akin to the Apple II. The project faced a setback when Wozniak withdrew following a 1981 plane crash. Jobs swiftly reimagined the Macintosh as a graphical system aimed at a lower price point than the Lisa, thereby challenging his previous division directly. Additionally, Jobs showed a strong focus on innovation and transformation, even when it meant challenging the Apple II division, which at that time was a significant driver of the company's success. In 1984, Apple introduced the Macintosh, marking a significant departure as the first personal computer not to include a pre-installed programming language. Its launch was highlighted by 1984, a $1.5 million television commercial directed by Ridley Scott, broadcast during the third quarter of Super Bowl XVIII on January 22, 1984. This event was pivotal to Apple's success.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives. We have created, for the first time in all history, a garden of pure ideology, where each worker may bloom, secure from the pests, obeying contradictory thoughts. Our unification, of course, is more powerful a weapon than any fleet or army on Earth. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Our enemies shall talk themselves to death, and we will bury them with their own confusion. We shall prevail.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
The Macintosh advertisement initially sparked tremendous enthusiasm, leading to a strong launch period. While initial sales saw a significant surge, they leveled off after 3 months as reviews started to surface. Steve Jobs had prioritized maintaining a projected price of $1,000 by opting for 128 kilobytes of RAM, which impacted speed and software capabilities. Despite this, the Macintosh was eventually priced at $2,495, reflecting its advanced features. By early 1985, a shift in sales trends prompted a leadership shift, with CEO John Sculley, whom Jobs had brought in to drive transformative change, taking the helm of the Macintosh division. Supported by the Apple board, under the guidance of the board of directors, Sculley was given the role of focusing Apple's efforts and managing the costs associated with exploring new product innovations. Jobs, however, felt strongly about pursuing his visionary ideas and sought to have Sculley replaced. Jean-Louis Gasset informed Sculley of Jobs' plans, leading to an urgent board meeting where the executive team decided to support Sculley and reassign Jobs operational duties. As a result, Jobs resigned from Apple in September 1985 and went on to create Next, bringing several Apple colleagues with him. Earlier that year, Wozniak had also stepped away from his active role at Apple to explore other passions, citing concerns about the direction of the Apple II division. Despite their departures, both Jobs and Wozniak retained their shares in Apple. Following the departures of Jobs and Wozniak in 1985, Sculley introduced the Macintosh 512K that year, featuring 4 times the RAM of its predecessor, and unveiled the LaserWriter, the first affordable PostScript laser printer. Concurrently, Aldus Corporation launched PageMaker, an early desktop publishing software leveraging PostScript technology. In July 1985, this trio, Macintosh, LaserWriter, and PageMaker, is widely credited with catalyzing the desktop publishing industry. Apple's solid presence in the desktop publishing sector allowed for a strategic emphasis on premium pricing, known as the high-right policy, which balanced profit with price positioning. The introduction of advanced models at higher price points resulted in impressive profit margins. Strong demand from dedicated users ensured that overall sales remained robust, despite some initial concerns about pricing competitiveness. By the mid-1980s, the high-right policy, championed by Jean-Louis Gasset's 55 or die approach, highlighting the Macintosh II's 55% profit margins, had become well entrenched and successful. In the late 1980s, Apple faced a new challenge as desktop publishing software became available on IBM PC compatibles, offering similar features at more competitive prices. This shift led to increased market competition and a changing landscape for Apple. Despite experiencing a notable decline in sales during the Christmas season of 1989, and a 20% drop in stock value, Apple used this period as a catalyst for change and innovation. The company realigned its leadership by appointing Michael Spindler as Chief Operating Officer in January 1990, leading to new strategies and directions. This transition marked a period of growth and adaptation as Apple continued to evolve and thrive in the rapidly changing technology market. In October 1990, the company shifted its strategy and launched 3 affordable models: the Macintosh Classic, Macintosh LC, and Macintosh 2 SI. These models quickly gained traction thanks to high demand. The following year, Apple unveiled the PowerBook, which established the standard design for most modern laptops. Additionally, Apple released System 7, a major update to the Macintosh operating system that introduced a colorful interface and new networking features. The introduction of more affordable Macs and PowerBooks led to a boost in revenue. During this period, Apple thrived, launching innovative products and seeing rising profits. The popularity of affordable Macs, particularly the Macintosh LC, began to impact sales of more expensive models. To counteract this, Apple launched several new product lines targeting various market segments: the high-end Macintosh Quadra series, the mid-range Macintosh Centra series, and the consumer-focused Macintosh Performa series. However, this approach resulted in considerable confusion among consumers due to the proliferation of similar models. In 1993, Apple decided to conclude the Apple II series as part of a strategic move to streamline production costs and capitalize on the growing popularity of the more affordable Macintosh models. With the launch of the Macintosh LC, Apple redirected its efforts to encourage developers to create software for Macintosh and guided sales representatives to champion the Macintosh. As a result, the Apple IIe was also phased out in 1993, marking a new chapter in Apple's innovation and focus. In the 1990s, Apple explored a range of innovative consumer-focused products, including the Apple QuickTake, Power CD, Apple Pippin, eWorld, and the Apple Interactive Television Box. While these ventures had mixed outcomes, they showcased Apple's commitment to pushing the boundaries of technology. The company also invested heavily in the Apple Newton, guided by John Sculley's ambitious vision for the market. During this period, Microsoft expanded its market presence by offering software for more affordable personal computers. While Apple distinguished itself by delivering a premium, high-end experience, Apple continued to achieve impressive profit margins and pursued a strategic approach by initiating legal action against Microsoft, focusing on the similarity between Microsoft's GUI and Apple's Lisa. Although the case, which spanned several years, was eventually dismissed, it highlighted Apple's commitment to protecting its innovations. Apple faced challenges in the early 1990s, including some product setbacks and increased competition from Windows. In 1993, Michael Spindler took the helm as CEO, bringing fresh leadership to guide the company through this period. In 1994, under Spindler's leadership, Apple, IBM, and Motorola formed the IM Alliance to develop a new computing standard known as the PowerPC Reference Platform. This platform blends IBM and Motorola hardware with Apple software to deliver exceptional performance and offer a compelling alternative to PCs and Windows market presence. That same year, Apple launched the Power Macintosh, the first in a series of computers featuring Motorola's PowerPC processor. Following the partnership, Apple considered permitting Motorola and other manufacturers to produce Macintosh clones. In the subsequent 2 years, 75 different Macintosh clone models emerged. By 1996, however, Apple executives became concerned that these clones were undermining sales of their own premium computers, which had the highest profit margins. In 1996, Gil Amelio succeeded Spindler as CEO. Chosen for his expertise in revitalizing companies, Amelio implemented significant changes, which included substantial layoffs and rigorous cost reductions. During this period, Apple embraced the opportunity to enhance the Macintosh operating system. Initially, System 1 was designed with a focus on simplicity rather than multitasking. To evolve, Apple introduced cooperative multitasking in System 6, setting the stage for further innovation. This led to exciting initiatives like the Pink Project in 1988, AUX in the same year, and Copeland in 1994. Additionally, Apple explored the possibility of acquiring BOS in 1996 to strengthen its capabilities. Although discussions with BOS, led by former Apple executive Jean-Louis Gasset, did not align on terms, this period was marked by ambitious efforts to advance the Macintosh experience. Facing a challenging period, Apple's board made a strategic decision in late 1996 to acquire Next for $400 million and bring Steve Jobs back on board. Setting the stage for a remarkable turnaround, Apple completed the acquisition of Next on February 9, 1997, leading to Steve Jobs returning to Apple in an advisory role. On July 9, 1997, Jobs skillfully led a pivotal boardroom change that resulted in Gil Amelio stepping down. This transition marked a new chapter for Apple, as it opened the door to revitalizing the company's direction and addressing the challenges it had faced in recent years. The board appointed Jobs as interim CEO, and he swiftly evaluated the product lineup. By focusing on a more streamlined selection, he refined the company's offerings and created a more efficient structure, which included making tough decisions that ultimately optimized operations and strengthened the company's focus. In August 1997, Jobs secured a $150 million investment from Microsoft and a commitment to continue developing Mac software. This move was perceived as antitrust insurance for Microsoft, which had recently settled with the Department of Justice over anti-competitive practices in the U.S. versus Microsoft Corporation case. During this period, Jobs also donated Apple's internal library and archives to Stanford University to refocus the company on current and future innovations, rather than past achievements. He ended the Mac clone agreements and, in September 1997, acquired the largest clone maker, Power computing. On November 10, 1997, the Apple Store website launched, introducing a new build-to-order manufacturing model. Jobs' strategy proved successful. By the end of his first year as CEO, the company reported a profit of $309 million. On May 6, 1998, Apple unveiled the iMac, a new all-in-one computer that echoed the original Macintosh. The iMac quickly gained popularity, selling 800,000 units within its first 5 months. It marked a significant industry shift by phasing out outdated technologies such as the 3 and a half-inch floppy disk, embracing the USB connector, and incorporating built-in internet connectivity through Ethernet and dial-up modem. Designed by Jonathan Ive, who was recruited by Emilio and worked alongside Jobs for over 10 years, the iMac's distinctive teardrop shape and translucent materials redefined Apple's product design. Just over a year later, on July 21, 1999, Apple unveiled the iBook, a consumer notebook. This launch completed Steve Jobs' strategy to streamline Apple's offerings into 4 key products: the Power Macintosh G3 desktop and PowerBook G3 notebook for professionals, and the iMac desktop and iBook notebook for consumers. According to Jobs, this focused product line enabled a stronger emphasis on quality and innovation. During this period, Apple completed several acquisitions to build a robust portfolio of digital media production software for both professionals and consumers. In April 1999, Apple acquired Macromedia Key Grip digital video editing project, which was subsequently released as Final Cut Pro. The development of Key Grip also paved the way for the introduction of iMovie in October 1999. In April 2000, Apple acquired the German company Astardi, known for its DVD authoring software DV Director. Apple rebranded this software as DVD Studio Pro for professionals and utilized its technology to develop iDVD for consumers. Additionally, in 2000, Apple purchased SoundJam MP from Cassidy and Green, renaming it iTunes, refining the user interface, and adding CD burning capabilities. In 2001, Apple pivoted with 3 major announcements. On March 24, 2001, Apple proudly launched Mac OS X, a cutting-edge operating system that represented the culmination of years of dedication and innovation following earlier developmental efforts in the 1990s. Mac OS X integrates NextStep, OpenStep, and BSD Unix to deliver Unix's stability, reliability, and security, paired with an updated user interface for greater ease of use. To facilitate the transition from Mac OS IX, Mac OS X included the classic environment to run legacy applications. In May 2001, Apple opened its first 2 retail stores in Virginia and California, showcasing its products in a new way. Despite early doubts about their success, these stores thrived and marked the beginning of what would become a global network of over 500 locations. On October 23, 2001, Apple introduced the iPod, a groundbreaking portable music player. It hit the market on November 10, 2001, and quickly became a sensation, surpassing 100 million units sold within just 6 years. In 2003, Apple launched the iTunes Store, offering music downloads at 99 cents per song and seamless integration with the iPod. It rapidly became the top online music service, surpassing 5 billion downloads by June 19, 2008. By 2010, the iTunes Store had become the leading music retailer globally. In 2002, Apple acquired Nothing Real for its innovative digital compositing software, Shake, and Imagic for its music production tool, Logic Pro. This acquisition marked Apple as the first computer manufacturer to own a music software company. Soon after, Apple introduced GarageBand, a consumer-level music application. That year also saw the launch of iPhoto, rounding out the iLife. During the keynote address at the Worldwide Developers Conference on June 6, 2005, Steve Jobs revealed that Apple would shift from PowerPC processors to Intel processors, with the change set to begin in 2006. On January 10, 2006, Apple debuted the MacBook Pro and iMac as the first models featuring Intel Core 2 dual processor. By August 7, 2006, Apple completed the transition to Intel processors across its entire Mac lineup. Over a year ahead of schedule, the Power Mac, iBook, and PowerBook lines were phased out, replaced by the Mac Pro, MacBook, and MacBook Pro. In addition, Apple introduced Boot Camp Assistant in 2006, enabling users to run Windows XP or Windows Vista alongside Mac OS X on their Intel-based Macs. Apple's achievements during this era were clearly reflected in its stock performance. From early 2003 to 2006, Apple's stock price soared more than tenfold, rising from approximately $6 per share to over $80. In January 2006, after Apple's market capitalization exceeded Dell's, Steve Jobs sent an email to Apple employees suggesting that Dell CEO, Michael Dell, should reconsider his previous remarks. 9 years earlier, Dell had claimed that if he were in charge of Apple, he would shut it down and give the money back to the shareholders. During his keynote at the Macworld Expo on January 9, 2007, Steve Jobs revealed that Apple Computer Incorporated would be rebranded as Apple Incorporated, reflecting its new focus on consumer electronics rather than just computers. The event introduced the iPhone and Apple TV. Within the first 30 hours of its launch, Apple sold 270,000 iPhones, and the device was hailed as a game changer for the industry. In a February 6, 2007, article on Apple's website, Steve Jobs stated that Apple was willing to offer music on the iTunes Store without digital rights management, as long as record labels agreed to remove the technology. On April 2, 2007, Apple and EMI announced that DRM would be removed from EMI's catalog on iTunes, starting in May 2007. Subsequently, other record labels adopted similar measures, and by January 2009, Apple issued a press release confirming that all music on the iTunes Store was available without fair play. In July 2008, Apple introduced the App Store, offering third-party apps for the iPhone and iPod Touch. Within a month, the store had sold 60 million apps and generated daily revenues averaging $1 million. By August 2008, Steve Jobs predicted that the App Store could become a billion-dollar venture for Apple. By October 2008, Apple's success with the iPhone had made it the world's third-largest mobile handset provider. On January 14, 2009, Jobs informed the team via an internal memo of his decision to take a 6-month medical leave, extending through the end of June 2009, to focus on his health. In the memo, Jobs noted that the curiosity over my personal health continues to be a distraction not only for me and my family, but everyone else at Apple as well. And he mentioned that his absence would enable the company to focus on delivering extraordinary products. Despite his departure, Apple achieved its highest non-holiday quarter performance during the economic downturn, with revenue reaching $8.16 billion and a profit of $1.21 billion. After years of speculation and numerous rumored leaks, Apple introduced the iPad on January 27, 2010. This tablet computer featured a large screen and was compatible with all iPhone apps. Consequently, the iPad debuted with an extensive app catalog despite limited development time. On April 3, 2010, the iPad launched in the US, selling over 300,000 units on its first day and reaching 500,000 within the first week. By May 2010, Apple's market capitalization surpassed that of Microsoft for the first time since 1989. In June 2010, Apple launched the iPhone 4, featuring FaceTime for video call, multitasking capabilities, and a redesigned stainless steel frame that served as the antenna. Later that year, Apple updated the iPod lineup with a multi-touch iPod Nano, an iPod Touch equipped with FaceTime, and an iPod Shuffle that reinstated the click wheel of previous models. Additionally, Apple introduced a more compact and affordable Apple TV second generation, which offered movie and TV show rentals. On January 17, 2011, Steve Jobs informed Apple employees via an internal memo of his decision to take indefinite medical leave to concentrate on his health. During his absence, Tim Cook, Apple's then chief operating officer, took over the company's daily operations, while Jobs continued to participate in key strategic decisions. Under Jobs' leadership, Apple became the leading global consumer brand. In June 2011, Jobs made a surprise appearance to introduce iCloud, a new service for storing your photos, videos, files, notes, contacts, calendars, and more, which succeeded MobileMe. This was the final product launch that Jobs attended before his passing. On August 24, 2011, Steve Jobs stepped down as Apple CEO, with Tim Cook assuming the role. Jobs transitioned to chairperson of the board. Prior to this, Apple had been led by two co-lead directors, Andrea Young and Arthur D. Levinson, as there was no chairperson in place. Levinson took over as chairperson in November 2011. On October 5, 2011, Steve Jobs passed away, signaling a significant transition for Apple. The company's next major product launch came on January 19, 2012, when Phil Schiller unveiled iBook textbooks for iOS and iBooks Author for Mac OS X in New York City. In his biography Steve Jobs, Jobs expressed his ambition to transform both the textbook industry and education. Between 2011 and 2012, Apple introduced several key products, the iPhone 4S and iPhone 5, both featuring enhanced cameras, Siri, and iCloud integration, the iPad 3rd generation and iPad 4th generation, showcasing Retina displays, and the iPad mini, with its 7.9-inch screen compared to the iPad's 9.7-inch display. These releases were notable successes. The iPhone 5, launched on September 21, 2012, marked Apple's most significant iPhone release with over 2 million pre-orders. The iPad mini and iPad, 4th generation, released on November 3, 2012, also saw impressive sales, with 3 million units sold in just 3 days. Additionally, Apple debuted MacBook Pro Retina, 13-inch, late 2012, along with new iMac and Mac mini models. On August 20, 2012, Apple's stock price surged, pushing its market capitalization to a historic $624 billion, surpassing the non-inflation-adjusted record previously held by Microsoft since 1999. 4 days later, on August 24, 2012, a U.S. jury ordered Samsung to pay Apple $1.05 billion in damages related to an intellectual property dispute. Samsung contested the ruling, leading to a reduction of the damages by $450 million and a new trial. By November 10, 2012, Apple announced a global settlement with HTC, resolving all ongoing lawsuits between the two companies. This agreement established a 10-year licensing deal for both current and future patents, with projections indicating that Apple could earn $280 million annually from this arrangement. In May 2014, Apple announced its plan to purchase Beats Electronics from Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine for $3 billion. Beats Electronics, known for its Beats by Dr. Dre headphones and speakers, as well as its Beats music streaming service, would also see its products sold through Apple Store and resellers. Iovine expressed that Beats had always been a natural fit with Apple, citing the company's exceptional ability to blend culture and technology. This acquisition marked the largest purchase in Apple's history. At the Apple event, September 2014, Apple unveiled the Apple Watch, originally positioned as both a fashion accessory and an iPhone companion. The device aimed to reduce the need for frequent smartphone use. Over time, Apple shifted its focus to enhancing the watch's health and fitness capabilities, positioning it against other activity trackers. In January 2016, Apple revealed that more than 1 billion of its devices were actively used around the globe. On June 6, 2016, Fortune published its Fortune 500 list, ranking companies by revenue. For the fiscal year 2015, Apple was the leading technology company and secured the third spot overall with $233 billion in revenue. This marked an advancement of 2 positions from the previous year's rankings. In June 2017, Apple unveiled the HomePod, a wireless speaker that works with Siri, Apple Music, HomeKit, and iPhone to play music, control your smart home devices, answer phone calls, and provide Siri-enabled personal assistance. Later that year, it was reported that Apple intended to acquire Shazam, a company recognized for its expertise in music, TV, film, and advertising recognition. The acquisition, confirmed shortly after the report, was said to cost Apple $400 million. Media sources suggested the purchase aimed to enhance Apple Music with valuable data and tools. The European Union approved the acquisition in September 2018. In June 2017, Apple appointed Jamie Ehrlich and Zach Van Amberg to lead its new global video division. By November 2017, Apple revealed its expansion into original scripted content, including a drama series featuring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, and a reboot of the anthology series Amazing Stories with Steven Spielberg. In June 2018, Apple signed the Writers Guild of America's Minimum Basic Agreement and entered into a multi-year content partnership with Oprah Winfrey. Further collaborations for original series include Sesame Workshop, DHX Media and its subsidiary Peanuts Worldwide, and a partnership with A24 to produce original films. At the Apple event, September 2017, Apple introduced the AirPower, alongside the iPhone X, iPhone 8, and Apple Watch Series 3. Designed to charge multiple devices simultaneously, AirPower was initially slated for a 2018 release. However, the product was canceled in March 2019, becoming the first product to be discontinued under Tim Cook's leadership. On August 19, 2020, Apple's stock price briefly exceeded $467.77, making it the first U.S. company to reach a market capitalization of $2 trillion. At its WWDC 20 keynote on June 22, 2020, Apple revealed plans to shift from Intel processors to its own custom-developed chips for the Mac. Analysts had anticipated this move, which promises significant performance improvements over existing Intel-based Macs. On November 10, 2020, Apple introduced the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini as the first Macs equipped with Apple M1 chip. In April 2022, it was announced that Samsung Electromechanics would be partnering with Apple on the M2 chip, replacing LG Innotek. Apple's initiative to design its own chips positioned it well to navigate the semiconductor shortage caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. This strategic move contributed to heightened profitability. with M1-based Mac computer sales significantly increasing in 2020 and 2021. In April 2022, Apple launched an online store enabling customers in the US to access repair manuals and purchase replacement parts for select recent iPhone models. On June 18, 2022, the Apple Town Center made history as the first in the US to unionize. The employees voted to affiliate with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. On July 6, 2022, Apple introduced lockdown mode in macOS 13 and iOS 16, enhancing security for high-risk users following the Pegasus disclosures. This feature strengthens defenses against targeted zero-day malware. In March 2023, Apple introduced Apple Pay Later, a buy now, pay later service for Apple Wallet users. This service enables users to borrow amounts ranging from $50 to $1,000 for online or in-app purchases, which they can repay in 4 interest-free installments over 6 weeks. In January 2024, Apple announced it would comply with the European Union competition laws by implementing significant changes to the App Store and other services. Starting March 7th, this update allows iOS users across the 27-nation bloc to access alternative app stores and payment methods within apps. Additionally, Safari will feature a menu for downloading alternative browsers, including Chrome and Firefox. In June 2024, Apple announced Apple Intelligence, bringing advanced on-device artificial intelligence features. Steve Jobs chose the name Apple for the company after visiting an apple farm during a fruitarian diet. He found the name fun, spirited and not intimidating. Although both Jobs and Steve Wozniak were Beatles fans, Apple faced trademark conflicts with Apple Corp. Limited, a multimedia company founded by the Beatles in 1968. This led to multiple lawsuits and strained relations between the two companies, which were ultimately resolved with a settlement in 2007. Apple's initial logo, created by Ron Wayne, shows Sir Isaac Newton resting beneath an apple tree. It was swiftly succeeded by Rob Janoff's iconic rainbow apple, featuring a vibrant, multicolored apple silhouette with a bite taken out. On August 27, 1999, Apple transitioned away from the rainbow design and adopted a monochromatic logo, closely resembling the previous colorful version. At one point, Apple engaged actively with evangelists, although this occurred after the phenomenon had already taken root. Guy Kawasaki, an Apple evangelist, described the brand enthusiasm as something that was stumbled upon, while Johnny Ive noted in 2014 that people have an incredibly personal relationship with Apple's products. In 2008, Fortune magazine recognized Apple as the most admired company in the United States and the most admired globally from 2008 to 2012. On September 30, 2013, Apple surpassed Coca-Cola to become the top brand worldwide in the Omnicom Media Group Best Global Brands report. Since 2005, the Boston Consulting Group has consistently named Apple the world's most innovative brand. By January 2021, 1.65 billion Apple products were in active use. By February 2023, this figure had surpassed 2 billion devices. Apple's initial slogan, "Bite into an apple," emerged in the late 1970s. From 1997 to 2002, the campaign "Think Different" became synonymous with the brand. Apple has also employed specific slogans for various products. In 1998, "I think, therefore iMac" was used to market the iMac, and "Say hello to iPhone" has featured in iPhone ads. The greeting "hello" has also marked the launch of the original Macintosh, iMac, and iPod. Since the debut of the Macintosh in 1984, highlighted by the iconic Super Bowl ad, Apple has been known for its impactful advertising and marketing strategies, although some later campaigns, like the 2005 Power Mac ads, faced criticism. In May 2001, Steve Jobs, then CEO of Apple, launched the company's first 2 retail stores. This move came after several unsuccessful attempts at store-within-a-store concepts. Recognizing the need for a more effective retail approach, Jobs began overhauling Apple's retail strategy in 1997 and recruited Ron Johnson in 2000. Jobs also reintroduced the Apple Online Store in 1997. Despite initial skepticism from the media, Apple stores proved highly successful, quickly surpassing the sales of nearby competitors and achieving $1 billion in annual sales within 3 years, making it the fastest retailer to reach that milestone. Since its inception, Apple has significantly broadened its retail presence, boasting 499 stores in 22 countries as of December 2017, with exceptional product sales exceeding $16 billion globally in 2011. Apple has secured a position among the leading retail giants. In May 2016, Apple stores began a major redesign initiative, which introduced open layouts, refreshed branding, and new functionalities to enhance customer engagement and interaction with professionals. Many Apple stores are situated within shopping malls, but Apple has also developed several prominent standalone flagship stores in prime locations. The company has earned design patents and architectural accolades for its stores, particularly for their innovative use of glass staircases and cubes. The impact of Apple stores has been substantial, leading to decreased traffic, control, and profits for other consumer electronics retailers who face competition from Apple's superior service and products. Due to the brand's popularity, Apple attracts a high volume of job applications, especially from younger candidates. Apple Store employees enjoy competitive salaries, educational and healthcare benefits, and product discounts. On August 13, 2020, Epic Games, the developer behind the widely popular game Fortnite, filed lawsuits against both Apple and Google after the game was removed from their app stores. The removals occurred because Fortnite introduced a direct payment option that circumvented the fees imposed by Apple and Google. In response, Epic Games established the Coalition for App Fairness in September 2020, joining forces with 13 other companies to advocate for improved App Store policies. By December 2020, Facebook agreed to support Epic Games in its legal battle against Apple by providing documents and materials. Although it did not intend to be directly involved in the lawsuit, Facebook had been in conflict with Apple over app pricing and privacy policy changes prior to this support. Dan Levy, Facebook's head of ad products, criticized Apple's motives, suggesting that the dispute was less about privacy and more about undermining personalized ads and their impact on small businesses. Apple has consistently championed privacy, integrating privacy-focused features into its conferences, marketing, and overall brand image. In 2014, with iOS 8, Apple began encrypting all device content using user passcodes, rendering it impossible for the company to fulfill law enforcement data requests. With the rise of cloud storage, Apple introduced a method in 2016 to perform deep learning scans of facial data on users' local devices and encrypt the content before uploading it to iCloud. The company also introduced differential privacy, which allows for the collection of aggregated data from many users while keeping individual identities anonymous. Users are asked to consent to participation and can choose to opt in or out. Apple has supported law enforcement by providing iCloud backups for criminal investigations, demonstrating its commitment to cooperation and safety. At the same time, the company's focus on advancing privacy through biometric authentication in its newer iPhone models reflects its dedication to enhancing security. Even as these methods differ from traditional passcodes in terms of constitutional privacy protections in the United States, with the launch of iOS 14, Apple mandated that all developers of iPhone, iPad, and iPod Touch apps must obtain explicit consent from users before tracking their activity. This policy, known as App Tracking Transparency, faced significant backlash from Facebook, which relies heavily on user data for targeted advertising. Facebook's response included full-page newspaper ads opposing the new feature. Despite the controversy, Apple proceeded with the update in early 2021. According to a study by Flurry Analytics, a Verizon subsidiary, only 4% of iOS users in the United States and 12% globally opted into tracking. Before iOS 15 launched, Apple introduced new measures to address child sexual abuse material on iOS and Mac platforms. With these updates, parents can now receive notifications if their child sends or receives images or videos containing nudity through messages, AirDrop, contact posters in the phone app, FaceTime video messages, and the System Photos Picker. Furthermore, media intended for iCloud upload will undergo on-device hashing. With these hashes compared to a database of known abusive images provided by law enforcement, if sufficient matches are detected, Apple will be notified, and authorities will be alerted. While law enforcement and victim rights groups praise these features, privacy advocates, including the Electronic Frontier Foundation, criticize them as invasive and vulnerable to misuse by authoritarian regimes. Ireland's Data Protection Commission has initiated a privacy investigation to determine whether Apple adheres to the EU's GDPR regulations. This follows an inquiry into how Apple manages personal data for targeted advertising on its platform. In December 2019, security researcher Brian Krebs found that the iPhone 11 Pro displayed the location services arrow at the top of the screen, even when all location services were turned off. If the main location services toggle was enabled, this issue did not occur with older iPhone models. When Krebs reached out to Apple, The company explained that the location services icon appearing in the status bar is normal when location services is active. This icon indicates system services that lack an individual switch in settings. Apple later elaborated that this behavior was intended to meet ultra-wideband regulations in certain countries. This technology, introduced with the iPhone 11 Pro, manages ultra-wideband compliance and location data entirely on the device, without Apple collecting user location information. Will Strafach of Guardian Firewall confirmed there was no evidence of data being sent to remote servers. Apple committed to adding a new toggle for this feature and subsequently included an option in later iOS updates to tap on the location services indicator in Control Center for detailed information on which services are accessing location data. On March 30, 2022, Bloomberg News highlighted that Apple was targeted by hackers posing as law enforcement officials, using counterfeit documents to request sensitive data such as phone numbers, physical addresses, and IP addresses. Some of these requests included forged signatures from both real and fictitious officials. In response to these claims, an Apple spokesperson directed the reporter to the company's law enforcement guidelines, which affirm, "We review every data request for legal sufficiency and use advanced systems and processes to validate law enforcement requests and detect abuse." Apple is one of the standout companies from the 1970s that defied conventional corporate norms. Even after joining the Fortune 500, Steve Jobs was known for strolling through the office barefoot. By the time the 1984 TV ad aired, Apple's casual culture had become a defining feature that set it apart from rivals. The 2011 Fortune report noted that this unique culture has kept Apple feeling more like a startup than a large multinational. In a 2017 interview, Steve Wozniak revealed that his passion for Star Trek and his experiences at Star Trek conventions inspired him to co-found Apple. As the company has expanded under various CEOs with differing viewpoints, it has arguably shifted from its original character. However, it continues to uphold a reputation for nurturing creativity and excellence, which consistently draws skilled professionals. Especially following Jobs' return, many Apple employees have noted that projects lacking Jobs' involvement often experience delays compared to others. The Apple Fellows program recognizes employees for exceptional contributions in technical expertise or leadership within personal computing. Honorees have included Al Alcorn, Bill Atkinson, Steve Capps, Rod Holt, Alan Kay, Guy Kawasaki, Don Norman, Rich Page, Phil Schiller, and Steve Wozniak. At Apple, employees are highly skilled in their specific areas of expertise, allowing them to focus deeply on their roles while collaborating with other specialists for a well-rounded approach. This approach, championed by Steve Jobs, aims to ensure top performance in every role. For example, Ron Johnson, who served as Senior Vice President of Retail Operations until November 1, 2011, focused on site selection, in-store service, and store layout, while inventory management was handled by Tim Cook. Leveraging his background in supply chain management, Apple maintains strict accountability standards by assigning a directly responsible individual for each project. For instance, when iOS Senior Vice President Scott Forstall declined to sign Apple's formal apology for issues with the Apple Maps, he was compelled to resign. Unlike many major U.S. companies, Apple offers a straightforward executive compensation policy, excluding perks like country club memberships or private company aircraft use. Executives generally receive stock options every other year. In 2015, Apple employed 110,000 full-time staff. The following year, this number grew to 116,000, marking a slight hiring slowdown due to the company's first revenue drop. While Apple does not disclose the exact number of retail employees, its 2014 SEC filing estimated that around half of its workforce was in retail. By September 2017, Apple reported that it had more than 123,000 full-time employees. Apple maintains a robust culture of confidentiality, supported by its global security team, which includes experts recruited from the National Security Agency, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the United States Secret Service. Apple's global headquarters are situated in Cupertino, within California's Silicon Valley, at Apple Park. This expansive, circular structure spans a circumference of 1 mile. Opening its doors in April 2017, Apple Park accommodates over 12,000 employees. Steve Jobs, Apple's co-founder, envisioned the campus as more of a natural sanctuary than a conventional business park. In June 2011, Jobs presented this vision to the Cupertino City Council in his final public appearance before his passing. Apple also maintains operations at the Apple campus, located at 1 Infinite Loop, Cupertino. This complex comprises 6 buildings totaling 850,000 square feet, situated roughly 1 mile west of Apple Park. serving as Apple's headquarters from its inauguration in 1993 until Apple Park's debut in 2017. The Apple campus features a circular arrangement of buildings around a central green area, a layout reminiscent of a university campus, alongside Apple Park and the Apple campus. Apple also utilizes 30 additional office buildings across Cupertino. These include 3 previous headquarters, Stevens Creek 3 from 1977 to 1978, Bandley 1 from 1978 to 1982, and Mariani 1 from 1982 to 1993. Altogether, Apple occupies nearly 40% of the city's office space. Apple's EMEA headquarters, covering Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, are located in Cork, Ireland. At the Hollyhill campus, established in 1980, this facility was Apple's first venture outside the United States, and now accommodates 5,500 employees. It serves as the hub for Apple's international sales and distribution operations. Apple operates 2 campuses near Austin, Texas. The first, a 216,000 square foot facility opened in 2014, is home to 500 engineers focusing on Apple Silicon. The second, a 1.1 million square foot campus opened in 2021, employs 6,000 people engaged in technical support, supply chain management, online store curation, and Apple Maps data management. The company operates additional offices in Boulder, Colorado, Culver City, California, Herzliya, Israel, London, New York, Pittsburgh, San Diego, and Seattle, each employing hundreds of staff members. Since its inception, Apple has actively engaged in legal matters to safeguard its intellectual property. The company is well regarded for its proactive approach in this area. Significant cases include Apple Incorporated versus Samsung Electronics Company, Apple Computer Incorporated versus Microsoft Corporation, Motorola Mobility versus Apple Incorporated, and Apple Core versus Apple Computer. While Apple has encountered various intellectual property disputes, many accusations were dismissed as unsubstantiated claims from patent trolls. For instance, on December 21, 2016, Nokia initiated lawsuits in the US and Germany, claiming patent infringements by Apple's products. More recently, in November 2017, the U.S. International Trade Commission began investigating Aqua-Connect's allegations of patent violations by Apple. Additionally, in January 2022, Ericsson pursued legal action related to royalty payments for 5G technology. On June 24, 2024, the European Commission highlighted Apple's commitment to maintaining a secure and streamlined user experience by raising concerns about restrictions on app developers directing consumers to alternative offers and content. In relation to the Digital Markets Act, Apple ranks as the largest technology company globally by revenue and by total assets. For the fiscal year ending September 2011, Apple reported annual revenues of $108 billion, up from $65 billion in 2010, and held nearly $82 billion in cash reserves. On March 19, 2012, Apple revealed that its board of directors had approved a $2.65 per share dividend, set to begin in the fourth quarter of 2012. In 2013, the company's global revenue reached $170 billion. That same year, Apple made its debut in the Fortune 500 Top 10, advancing 11 spots from its 2012 position to secure 6th place. By 2016, Apple held approximately $234 billion in cash and marketable securities. According to a Canaccord Genuity report, Apple captured 65% of the total profits generated by the top 8 global smartphone makers in the first quarter of 2014. By the first quarter of 2015, Apple's share of earnings surged to 92%. On April 30, 2017, the Wall Street Journal reported that Apple held $250 billion in cash reserves. A few days later, Apple officially confirmed this amount as $256.8 billion. As of August 3, 2018, Apple was the world's largest publicly traded company by market capitalization. On August 2, 2018, it became the first U.S. company to achieve a $1 trillion market value. Additionally, Apple was listed at number 4 on the 2018 Fortune 500, which ranks the largest U.S. companies by total revenue. In July 2022, Apple announced an 11% drop in third-quarter profits compared to the previous year. Although revenue for the same quarter increased by 2% year-over-year to $83 billion, this growth was significantly lower than the 36% rise seen in 2021. The decline is attributed to a slowing global economy and supply chain disruptions in China. In 2022, Apple was among the top global spenders on research and development, investing $27 billion in R&D. In May 2023, Apple announced a 3% drop in sales for the second quarter compared to the previous year. This marks the second consecutive quarter of declining revenue for the company. The decrease is largely attributed to a sluggish economy and higher prices, leading consumers to delay purchases of Mac and iPad. Despite this, iPhone sales increased by 1.5% year-over-year. Apple noted robust demand for these devices, especially in Latin America and South Asia. Apple has established subsidiaries in low-tax jurisdictions, including Ireland, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and the British Virgin Islands, to reduce its global tax burden. As reported by the New York Times, in the 1980s, Apple was one of the first tech companies to appoint overseas sales representatives in high-tax countries, enabling the company to conduct sales on behalf of its low-tax subsidiaries across different continents and avoid income taxes. During the late 1980s, Apple also pioneered an accounting strategy called the Double Irish with a Dutch sandwich, which minimizes taxes by channeling profits through Irish subsidiaries, the Netherlands, and ultimately to the Caribbean. On October 30th, 2012, British Conservative MP Charlie Elphike shared research highlighting that several multinational corporations, including Apple, were achieving impressive profit levels in the UK while contributing a relatively modest effective tax rate of 3%. In response, Elphike encouraged Chancellor of the Exchequer George Osborne to introduce greater transparency by requiring these companies, including Google and the Coca-Cola Company, to publicly disclose their effective tax rates on UK earnings. Additionally, Elphike recommended that government contracts be reserved for multinationals that meet their fair tax obligations in the UK. A US Senate report from May 2013 highlighted Apple's innovative use of a sophisticated offshore tax strategy, allowing the company to effectively manage its global profits through its Irish subsidiaries. This approach has enabled Apple to optimize its tax efficiency. Notably, the report observed that Apple's primary subsidiary, which oversees its European retail operations, has strategically leveraged differences between Irish and U.S. tax residency rules. On May 21, 2013, Apple CEO Tim Cook confidently presented Apple's tax practices at a Senate hearing, showcasing the company's commitment to transparency and responsible business operations. Apple reports that it is the largest taxpayer in the United States, with an effective tax rate of 25.5% as of the second quarter of fiscal year 2016. In October 2017, Tim Cook told the German newspaper FAZ that Apple is the largest taxpayer globally. In 2016, following a thorough 2-year investigation, the European Commission determined that Apple's hybrid double Irish tax strategy involved illegal state aid from Ireland. As a result, the company was asked to address a substantial €13 billion tax adjustment, equivalent to $14.5 billion. This marked one of the most significant corporate tax resolutions in history. However, this decision was later overturned when the European General Court found the Commission's evidence lacking. In 2018, Apple brought $285 billion back to the United States, leading to a $38 billion tax payment distributed over the subsequent 8 years. Apple collaborates with RED to support AIDS research. In November 2014, Apple dedicated all App Store sales for 2 weeks to RED, raising over $20 million. Additionally, in March 2017, Apple launched iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus product RED Special Edition. Apple supports disaster relief efforts with financial contributions. In November 2012, the company donated $2.5 million to the American Red Cross to assist with Hurricane Sandy recovery. In 2017, Apple provided $5 million to support relief efforts for Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Harvey, and the Central Mexico earthquake. Additionally, Apple has leveraged its iTunes platform to facilitate donations for various crises, including the 2010 Haiti earthquake, the 2011 Japan earthquake, Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines in November 2013, and the 2015 European migrant crisis. Apple ensures that 100% of iTunes donations go directly to relief efforts, with no processing or other fees deducted. However, it notes that the Red Cross does not receive donor information and that donations may not be tax deductible. On April 14, 2016, Apple and the Worldwide Fund for Nature announced a new partnership focused on protecting the planet's biodiversity. To support this initiative, Apple introduced a dedicated section in App Store called Apps for Earth. Through this collaboration, Apple pledged that 100% of the revenue from participating apps, both paid apps and in-app purchases, would be donated to WWF until April 24th. The Apps for Earth campaign ultimately raised over $8 million for WWF's conservation efforts, with WWF announcing the total at WWDC 16 keynote in San Francisco. Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, Apple CEO Tim Cook revealed that the company plans to contribute millions of masks to healthcare workers across the United States and Europe. On January 13, 2021, Apple launched a $100 million racial equity and justice initiative to address institutional racism globally, following the murder of George Floyd in 2020. By June 2023, Apple had doubled its commitment, investing over $200 million in organizations dedicated to education, economic advancement, and criminal justice reform. This funding is evenly split between philanthropic grants and equity-focused initiatives. Apple Energy, LLC, a subsidiary of Apple Incorporated, specializes in solar energy. As of June 6, 2016, Apple's solar farms in California and Nevada collectively produce 217.9 megawatts of power. Additionally, Apple has obtained regulatory approval to build a landfill gas energy plant in North Carolina to convert methane emissions into electricity. The data center in North Carolina is already fully powered by renewable energy sources. In 2010, Climate Counts, a nonprofit focused on guiding consumers toward environmentally responsible companies, awarded Apple 52 out of 100 points, elevating the company to their highest category. Striding, this represents a remarkable advancement from May 2008, when Apple earned 11 points out of 100 and was positioned at the lower end among electronics companies. At that time, Climate Counts had described Apple as a stuck icon and recommended that climate-conscious consumers explore other options. After a Greenpeace protest, Apple issued a statement on April 17, 2012, pledging to eliminate coal use and transition to 100% renewable clean energy. By 2013, Apple had achieved its goal of powering all data centers with 100% renewable energy. In total, 75% of the company's power was derived from clean, renewable sources. In May 2015, Greenpeace assessed the green internet and praised Apple for its environmental efforts, stating, "Apple's commitment to renewable energy has helped set a new bar for the industry," illustrating in very concrete terms that a 100% renewable internet is within its reach, and providing several models of intervention for other companies that want to build a sustainable internet. As of 2016, Apple reports that all of its U.S. operations and data centers are powered by renewable energy. Globally, 93% of Apple's operations utilize renewable sources. Despite this, because facilities are linked to local grids that typically combine fossil and renewable energy, Apple compensates for its electricity use through carbon offsets. EPEAT, the Electronic Product Environmental Assessment tool, enables consumers to assess the environmental impact of products and assigns a gold, silver, or bronze rating based on their efficiency and sustainability. All Mac computers, displays, and iPad rated by EPEAT receive the gold rating, the highest available, while Apple's data centers recycle water up to 35 times. The overall water use across retail, corporate, and data centers rose to 573 million gallons in 2015 due to increased activity. On March 21, 2016, Apple updated its environmental initiative, aiming for 100% renewable energy across its global operations. Lisa P. Jackson, Apple's Vice President of Environment, Policy, and Social Initiatives, who reports directly to CEO Tim Cook, shared that as of March 2016, 93% of Apple's global operations run on renewable energy. The company highlighted its commitment to sustainable packaging, with 99% of its product packaging paper sourced from post-consumer recycled paper or responsibly managed forests, and an ongoing shift to using only paper for all packaging. In collaboration with the Conservation Fund, Apple has preserved 36,000 acres of working forests in Maine and North Carolina. Additionally, a partnership with the Worldwide Fund for Nature aims to protect up to 1 million acres of forests in China. The event also showcased a 40-megawatt solar power plant in Sichuan, China, designed to accommodate local yaks by elevating the panels to prevent disruption of their grazing. This installation offsets all the energy used by Apple Store and offices in China, eliminating the company's carbon footprint there. In Singapore, Apple has partnered with the government to install solar panels on 800 rooftops, achieving 100% renewable energy for its operations in the city-state. Lastly, Apple introduced Liam, a sophisticated robotic disassembler developed by its California engineers, which efficiently recycles outdated or damaged iPhone by reusing and sorting their components. On August 17, 2016, Apple revealed that Lens Technology, a key supplier based in China, has pledged to use 100% renewable energy for its glass production for Apple by 2018. This commitment represents a significant advancement in Apple's initiative to reduce the carbon footprint of its Chinese suppliers. Additionally, Apple announced that all 14 of its final assembly sites in China now meet UL's zero waste to landfill certification. Introduced in January 2015, this standard ensures that manufacturing waste is either reused, recycled, composted, or transformed into energy. Since the program's inception, nearly 140,000 metric tons of waste have been kept out of landfills. On July 21, 2020, Apple revealed its commitment to achieving carbon neutrality across its entire business, manufacturing supply chain, and product life cycle by 2030. Over the next decade, Apple aims to reduce emissions through a range of innovative measures, including low-carbon product design, enhanced energy efficiency, renewable energy initiatives, process and material advancements, and carbon removal strategies. In April 2021, Apple announced the launch of a $200 million fund aimed at fighting climate change by eliminating 1 million metric tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere annually. In February 2022, the New Climate Institute, a German environmental policy think tank, released a survey assessing the transparency and effectiveness of climate strategies and carbon neutrality commitments from 25 leading U.S. companies. The survey highlighted that there are opportunities for Apple to further clarify and strengthen its commitment and strategy towards carbon neutrality. In 2022, the company's revenue in Russia totaled 85 billion rubles. In 2023, Apple declared it would eliminate leather from its product offerings due to the material's substantial carbon footprint. This decision led to Apple receiving PETA's 2023 Company of the Year award. In 2008, Apple became the first electronics manufacturer to completely eliminate polyvinyl chloride and brominated flame retardants from its entire product range. Following advocacy from Greenpeace, starting in June 2007, Apple began replacing cold cathode fluorescent lamp backlit LCD displays with mercury-free LED backlit LCD displays and arsenic-free glass. Beginning with the updated MacBook Pro, on their website, Apple offers detailed and transparent information about CO2e emissions, materials, and electrical usage for every current and past product with available data, allowing consumers to make informed decisions. By June 2009, the iPhone 3GS was free from PVC, arsenic, and BFRs. Today, all Apple products feature mercury-free LED backlit LCD displays, arsenic-free glass, and non-PVC cables. They also hold EPI Gold status and exceed the latest Energy Star standards in their respective categories. In November 2011, Greenpeace recognized Apple's advancements in sustainability by featuring the company in its Guide to Greener Electronics. Apple made significant strides, moving up 5 positions to rank 4th out of 15 companies, with a notable score of 4.6 out of 10. Greenpeace highlighted Apple's achievement in surpassing its 70% global recycling goal in 2010, and praised the company's commitment to maintaining strong product standards, ensuring all its products are free of PVC and BFRs. While there is room for improvement in obtaining third-party verification for greenhouse gas emissions data and setting emissions reduction targets, Apple has demonstrated its dedication to environmental progress. In January 2012, Apple further underscored its commitment by requesting its cable supplier, Volex, to produce halogen-free USB and power cables. In February 2016, Apple became the first U.S. tech company to issue a green bond, valued at $1.5 billion. The funds from this bond are earmarked for supporting environmental projects. Until the late 1990s, Apple products were manufactured in Apple-owned facilities in the United States. However, starting in the 2000s, outsourcing led to most production being shifted overseas. A report from the New York Times reveals that Apple insiders feel the scale, adaptability, and expertise of foreign factories and workers have surpassed those in the U.S., making Made in USA an impractical option for the majority of Apple products. The company's manufacturing, procurement, and logistics systems allow it to conduct large product launches without holding excessive, costly inventories. In 2011, Apple's profit margins reached 40%, while most other hardware firms reported margins between 10 and 20%. Cook's motto for his emphasis on operational efficiency is, "Nobody wants to buy sour milk." In May 2017, the company unveiled a $1 billion initiative to support advanced manufacturing within the United States. This effort included a $200 million investment in Corning Incorporated, known for producing the durable Gorilla Glass used in iPhone. By December, Apple's chief operating officer, Jeff Williams, shared with CNBC that the $1 billion figure was absolutely not a cap on spending. He explained, "We are not thinking in terms of a fund limit. We are thinking about where are the opportunities across the U.S. to help nurture companies that are making the advanced technology and the advanced manufacturing that goes with that quite frankly is essential to our innovation." As of 2021, Apple sources components from 43 different countries. Most assembly is handled by Taiwanese original design manufacturers, including Foxconn, Pegatron, Wistron, and Compal Electronics. These manufacturers primarily operate factories in China, with additional facilities in Brazil and India. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, a dedicated semiconductor manufacturer, produces most of Apple's smartphone system on chips, with Samsung Semiconductor playing a smaller role. In 2021, Apple represented more than 25% of TSMC's total revenue. Since the A11 Bionic, TSMC has exclusively manufactured Apple's Bionic series of smartphone SoCs, which were previously produced in collaboration with Samsung. Additionally, TSMC manufactures the M series of Apple's SoCs for Mac and iPad. In the early days of the Mac, Apple took a pioneering approach by creating its own hardware standards, showcasing its innovation and vision. In the late 1990s, Apple embraced industry standards by integrating the PCI bus into the Power Macintosh 7500, 8500, and 9500, further enhancing compatibility and performance. Since then, Apple has actively participated in standards organizations to shape technology standards like USB, AGP, Hypertransport, Wi-Fi, NVMe, and PCIe. FireWire, a standard developed by Apple, gained widespread adoption after being standardized as IEEE 1394, and is now a required feature in all cable TV boxes in the United States. Apple has been steadily increasing its presence in the Indian market. During a July 2012 investor call, CEO Tim Cook expressed his admiration for India but noted that the company saw greater opportunities elsewhere. He also mentioned that India's requirement for 30% local manufacturing added significant costs. In May 2016, Apple launched an iOS app development center in Bengaluru and a maps development office in Hyderabad, employing 4,000 people. In March 2019, the Wall Street Journal reported that Apple planned to start manufacturing iPhone models in India within 2 months. By May 2019, the journal confirmed that production of the iPhone SE first generation had begun in the country, although Apple informed CNBC that this was for a limited number of units. In April 2019, Apple began manufacturing the iPhone 7 at its Bengaluru facility, driven by local demand and ongoing discussions with the Indian government for additional incentives. At the start of 2020, Tim Cook announced plans for the first Apple retail store in India to open in 2021, with an online store expected to launch by the end of the year. Apple employs 147,000 people directly, including 25,000 corporate staff at Apple Park and throughout Silicon Valley. Most of its employees work across 500 retail Apple stores worldwide. For manufacturing, Apple depends on a larger outsourced workforce, particularly in China, where it directly employs 10,000 individuals in retail and corporate roles. Additionally, approximately 1 million workers are contracted by Apple suppliers, such as Foxconn and Pegatron, to assemble its products. Zhengzhou Technology Park alone employs 350,000 workers exclusively on iPhone production. As of 2021, Apple sources hardware components from 43 countries. The bulk of assembly is handled by Taiwanese original design manufacturers like Foxconn, Pegatron, Wistron, and Compal Electronics, with operations mainly in China and smaller facilities in Brazil and India. In 2021, Apple Together, a solidarity union, aimed to unite the company's global worker organizations. Apple's journey is far from over. What started as a bold idea in a garage has grown into a global powerhouse that continues to challenge the status quo. From redefining personal technology to shaping the future of innovation, Apple has not only changed the way we interact with devices, but also the way we think about possibility. The story of Apple is a testament to vision, resilience, and the belief that great things happen when creativity meets purpose. As we look ahead, one thing is certain: Apple will keep inspiring, surprising, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.